of pride may have pooped himself. It caused him to do a rebrand, but the reality is, you decide to slap the goddess of the void. Think you might be justified in pooping yourself. Instead of the constant slander, let's show our boy some respect, because he did beat the god of destruction, desolation, in a one-on-one fight. So maybe put some respect on his name. Is it possible for a god to change domains and become a god of something else? And what happens to their domain? Does somebody else become a god? Does somebody like Tarmac, who's the femboy version of Tarma, was created from the dreams of basically a beholder, who is known as the embodiment of shame, take over Tarma's role as the god of pride? Okay, well, let's jump into the lore, because there is some important parts to this. We've already seen what happens when a god changes domains. Before he was Desolation, god of destruction, the purple menace that we know him as, he used to be Orden, god of battle, and this is him having a moment with his grand priestess Orgi. You know, the same Orgi that the Precious Metal Kingdom residents restrained after jumping her and then murdered her. Not before she got off a wish that would enact the cleansing of the East, destroying all the civilizations there. Some people might call it an ethnic cleansing, some people have another word that starts with a G for it. But it was that act of G-siding that actually changed Orden to desolation. And Orden's domain drove off of actual physical battle, but he did it in such a way that allowed him to actually set up how battle was conducted in the East, aka Termini. Orden's military was so powerful from Wargost, he could dictate how war was carried out in the East. Like if the Bronze Kingdom wanted to wage war on the Platinum Kingdom, they would have to get his approval before launching military offensives. He wrote what you could and could not do with prisoners, soldiers, when you raided a town, what you could and could not do. He wrote the rules of battle. But when Lady Orgi cast her wish to wipe the world of the bloodlines of the Precious Metal Kingdoms that would kill her, rules of battle effectively went out the window when he granted that wish. Because it was no longer about waging a fair war, it was about extermination. Because his people bought into the message that Lady Orgi had sent and the propaganda that he was now in charge of enforcing, slowly changed him from the god of battle to the god of destruction. But the thing is, he is still a god of war, just like the god of honor is a god of war. Same thing with the god of pride. He is a god of war. Primary domains don't really change. Subdomains can change based on followers, based on the god's direction, how he carries out his primary domain. Yeah, so those can shift. The exception to this rule is Cypher. She can never change domains because the void domain and the creation domain are completely unique from the others. What would have happened if Cypher would have been able to kill Tarma? Would Tarmac have stepped up and become the god of pride, aka a god of war? Well, the answer is no. The answer is no, because Tarmac's not a god. He literally has nothing divine about him, other than looking like a femboy version of Tarma. The reality is, other than the gods, no one knows what happens when a god dies. But we can make an assumption because Reaper is the goddess of death, but Confera is the planar spirit of death and wind. He is more in charge of the death domain than Reaper. She's basically his overworked assistant. Don't tell that to her, but that's basically the way it works. Based on her role in the world, we can assume that one of the planar spirits will take over a critical role should something happen to that god. If you like this lore, go ahead and check out the mangas The Devil's Deal and The Night of Slaughter. They're based on my D&D games and take place in the same world. Grab a copy while I got some stuff.